Hello, my name's Michael Connelly, and this is part 2 of the June Astrology and Healing newsletter. And this part 2 focuses on the Saturn, Ketu, Pluto conjunction that's in Vedic Sagittarius all June, and indeed for the rest of the year. And just to say that there are actually 8 parts to the astrology newsletter. So part 1 is my offering special advice for how to handle June energies. Part 2, this part, is the Saturn, Ketu, Pluto Great Conjunction. Part 3 focuses on the nature of Pluto and how we need to respond to him and benefit from him. Part 4 is the Mars-Rahu or Mars-North Node conjunction opposite the Saturn-Pluto-Ketu conjunction. And part 5 is Mercury problems that are big in June 2019, affecting mind and communication, also travel and business. Part 6 focuses on Jupiter, Uranus, Neptune, Sun, Chiron, the new moon for June, the full moon for June. Part 7 is a really valuable thing. I suggest you print it off. It's a calendar of the major energies in June, very thorough, perfectly adequately detailed, very useful. And part 8 is ever so useful. It's a collection of the astrology charts for all the major events in June, in both Western astrology and Vedic astrology. So you can cross-refer to the charts. Okay. So this part 2 is indeed the great conjunction of Saturn, Ketu and Pluto in Vedic Sagittarius. And the point is, this conjunction hasn't been in Vedic Sagittarius since 1517. So I'm just going to adjust the camera. Which was the time of Martin Luther, who brought in the Reformation, destroyed the Catholic Church in Northern Europe. And so its energy is one of reformation. It is belief orientated, spirituality orientated, and the whole point is so much of who we believe we are and what we do in our life comes from our spiritual beliefs, whether valid or invalid, whether good for us or awful for us. Think about it. So the other thing is that what's the constituent energies? Saturn is, as I mentioned in part 1, our structures and our blocks. And so often we humans erect false structures about who we are, false structures about how to eat, how to do our job, what our job should be. But Ketu, the south node of the moon, is a magnificent perception from Vedic astrology of like the destroyer who destroys but for spiritual purpose, and he just slashes away at false Saturn structures. So say you've erected a prison, built a prison for yourself, imprisoned your beauty and your greatness. Ketu just smashes at it now this year. And so that's the combination of Saturn and Ketu, and the combination of Pluto and Ketu is immense. It's cathartic destruction and rebirth. And the combination of Saturn and Pluto, well, Saturn is structures, blah, blah, blah. Pluto is atomic power. And so, we have to have structures in life, but the structure for Pluto's insights and presence in your life has to be worthy to contain Pluto. Master of the abyss, god of the underworld. So the next point I want to make is that if you look at the chart, the Vedic chart for the beginning and end of June 2019, you'll see it's very divided. All the planets except Jupiter are on one side of the nodal axis, and this is in fact Kalsarpa Yoga. If you wanted to be pedantic, you could say it was modified Kalsarpa Yoga because Jupiter is outside it. But that doesn't make it any less divisive. It simply cuts off the blessing and purpose that Jupiter wants to offer to all. And so the whole point is you get divisiveness in societies. And you get divisive politicians and teachers and astrologers even who, well, when an individual is born who has Kalsarpa Yoga in the chart, it's because they are born into a divisive situation. And basically that means they're confrontative and ranting and destructive, unless, of course, they grow spiritually because of the difficulty, because of the challenge, in spite of the difficulty, in spite of the challenge. But so many people with Kalsarpa Yoga actually overcompensate for the awful feeling of divisiveness within them. And, you know, Donald Trump is a classic case of that. But so many humans with Kalsarpa Yoga do that. And so many of them rant and rant and rant. And so many people seem to like to be passive audiences, listening to ranted predictions or ranted political Nuremberg rally type speeches. It seems to be a defect in us humans. So that is very present at this time, and it means very unhappy people, very unhappy countries. Countries split down the middle, continents split down the middle. And so this ranting, confrontational energy, which is here all year, is basically here, really, the spiritual purpose is for it to be healed in each one of our lives. You see, ranted delivery masks denied agendas, denied fears, denied wounds. And when countries and individuals become the victim of the Kalsarpa energy, they suffer greatly mentally, emotionally and physically, because most of us just don't have the tools to deal with the experience, or the confidence to know what to let go of and to embrace what should be embraced. An awful lot of spiritual teachers are into spiritual bypass and are ranting out the slogans, and it's nonsense. We each of us need to find our own genuine destiny in this lifetime, and to be able to identify how it can best unfold from moment to moment, from month to month, year to year, predictive period to predictive period. So I just want to say that the energy of the present nodal axis is horrific. It's a battlefield. Saturn, Ketu, Pluto, opposite, Mars conjunct Rahu, North Node in Vedic Gemini. And if you look, there's a great similarity, I think it's one of the charts I've shown in part 8, to the Twin Towers terrorist attacks. The nodal axis is the same then in Gemini Sagittarius. Mars is on the nodal axis, and there was a modified Kalsarpa Yoga to that chart too. This is important. The next thing to note is that there's an unparalleled combination of the totally different energies of Ketu and Saturn, because the two of them are retrograding side by side exactly from now until this coming November. very unusual. And so retrograde Saturn will call on us to assess our life patterns, our beliefs, our scripts, our hiding holes. And Ketu will bring through divine inspiration to that, and he will get very angry and negative if we simply cling to our furibunkers and don't live in a way that brings in our incarnational destiny, our beauty, our special talents that we incarnated to achieve this time. It's no good sitting at home and expecting to do well. It's no good pursuing very negative jobs when you have a spiritual purpose. It's difficult, I know, but we have to live with the challenge of being a spiritual person in consumer modernity, that is Western society, consumer militaristic modernity. So the other thing I want to mention is Sade Sate. Now Sade Sate is when Saturn goes through the sign before the moon sign, the sign occupied by the moon, and the sign after that. It takes 7.5 years to go through the 3 signs. And at the moment Saturn is in Uttarashadha and moving on towards Purvashadha Nakshatra in Vedic Sagittarius. So people with moons in Uttarashadha, Purvashadha and Uttarashadha are at the absolute centre of this very violent Sade Sate. Now Sade Sate, as I said, is measured by the passage through 3 signs, taking 7.5 years. And it's basically letting things die in our lives and descending into a pit to be reborn. That's the simple presentation. There's a more complex and accurate presentation based on the nakshatras Saturn transits through around the natal moon. And so in the blog post, I suggest that if you want to, you can get in touch with me for a Sade Sate reading. And indeed, we can actually also do a journey to meet Saturn, Lord Shani, Lord of Karma, as he is manifesting in your life now, and understand what his divine purpose is as he highlights the attachments you need to let go of, the identity scripts you need to scrap, and the true path you now need to pursue with diligence. Basically to burn the negative karmas you incarnated with, and to realize and manifest the special sparks of destiny that your soul chose for you to bring into being this lifetime. So have a look at the blog, see all about the Saturn-Ketu-Pluto conjunction and how to enroll for a Sade Sate reading. Okay, so this is the end of the part 2 of video and blog. The next part is part 3 about Pluto.